Before we dive into a Vikings Panthers Week 4 preview, I got 3 words for you guys. I am scared. With the Vikings falling to 0-3 after the loss versus the Chargers last week, this is the season. The season will end this Sunday in Carolina if the Vikings don't get a victory, so I am scared. And there's one guy that I'm very scared of, and it's him right here, Mr. Adam Thielen. This is going to be a revenge game at its finest this Sunday in Charlotte. And I'm a little scared that Thielen's going to be thinking that he could be ending the Viking season. We'll be diving into him a little more in today's video. But let's dive into the Vikings Panthers preview. Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and I'm pumped up for this football game this Sunday. Obviously, the Vikings have yet to get in the win column this year, but they obviously have a very beatable opponent in the Carolina Panthers, and I'm pumped up for this football game. And if you guys don't want to jinx this Minnesota Vikings football team, you guys need to go down there and like today's video. This is an 0-3 ball club. We need to do everything we can to get in that victory column. And, hey, you don't want to be sitting there Sunday. It's going to be the middle of the third quarter, and you're like, damn, I should have liked that kid's YouTube video. Go down there, hit that like button if you want the Vikes to beat the Panthers. But let's start off with the Carolina Panthers. How did they get here? Because the Panthers are also another 0-3 ball club, and they're going to be hungry for a victory as well. Week 1, Carolina dropped a game to the Atlanta Falcons where they lost 24-10. Followed that up by playing the New Orleans Saints, and they lost versus Saints 20-17. And then this past week, they were in Seattle taking on the Seahawks, and they lost 37-27. Let's break down the Panthers' offense here first. So where they rank amongst the rest of the NFL. Total yards per game, they're sitting around 22nd. Again, this is not by any means a high-flying Panthers offense. This is just a middle-of-the-road. They get the job done. There's nothing really too like that you got to take away going into the game. They don't have a game breaker like we do in Jefferson or a Tyreek Hill. They just have a bunch of okay weapons with an okay quarterback right now in Andy Dalton and Bryce Young. But rush yards per game, middle of pack 18. Pass yards, middle of the pack again at around 22 per game. They average 18 points a game, which is 24th in the league. And then their third down percentage is around 40%, which finds themselves middle of the pack as well. Kick it to them on the defensive side, because this is where we see, kind of some mountains and some hills and valleys with this team. Overall yards per game, middle of the pack. They're 15th in the league. But this is where they differentiate from passing and rushing. Pass yards per game. They only give up 192 a game, which is actually top 10 in the entire NFL. Rush yards, you can gash this Carolina football team. They give up 136 rush yards per game, which is 27th in the NFL, and then they overall just give up a lot of points. They give up 27 points a game, which is 25th, and their overall third down percentage is actually pretty solid. They find themselves top 5 in that at 30.8. But they have a quarterback, not issue here, but listen, their quarterback room's interesting. They get the first overall pick out of Alabama, Bryce Young, but he was obviously dealing with an injury last week, which held him out in the Seattle Seahawks game, and he is most likely going to miss this week against the Minnesota Vikings. Another reason you guys should subscribe, stay in the loop, because I'll get you an update on that ASAP. But it's looking like it could be the Red Rocket. Andy Dalton will be getting the start versus the Minnesota Vikings. I'm a little scared of that, because if I had to take my preference out of these two right now, I'd rather take a young, inexperienced Bryce Young over the veteran Andy Dalton. But a guy that Andy Dalton's going to be throwing the ball to this weekend is Adam Thielen. And I got one question for you guys. This is going to be the pin comment, because this is a revenge game for Adam Thielen. Higher or lower 75.5 yards this week for Thielen? Give me an H for higher or give me an L for lower down in the comment section. This is going to be the pinned comment, so if YouTube throws an ad break your way, sit back, let it play, and answer today's pinned comment. Coming up just around the corner here, I'm going to be diving into some keys to victory if the Vikings want to hop in the win column for the first time this season, obviously against the Carolina Panthers. But before I dive into that, I got to give a huge shout out to Prize Picks, the brand new sponsor here on Vikings Now. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports program in North America, and it is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It is you against the numbers. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Instead of battling versus thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. And this is what I'm rolling with for this weekend, with obviously the Vikings taking on the Carolina Panthers. Prize Picks projected Kirk Cousins at 283.5. I'm going to go more on his passing yards there. They projected Justin Jefferson at 103.5 receiving yards. I'm going to go more on that as well. And then just despite TJ Hawkinson for losing us the game last weekend, I'm going to go less than 52.5 receiving yards with him. So you guys can either ride me or fade me, but make sure you guys do it at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. I'll make sure to put that for you guys in the comments section and the description of today's show. Let's get to it. Keys to victory for the Minnesota Vikings versus the Carolina Panthers. My #1, let 18 cook again. Keep it simple. Don't overthink this, Kevin O'Connell. You have the best non-quarterback in the league in Justin Jefferson, and he has been on an absolute tear throughout 3 games during the regular season. His numbers right now look like Madden numbers. Like, you guys probably think the graphics wrong, but he has gone for over 458 yards throughout 3 games, over 150 yards per game, being one of the best deep threats we have in the NFL with 17 yards per catch. What he has done on this short season so far has been no less than just perfect. And he is the best non-quarterback in the league. I've been saying it for a while here, and I will continue to say it as long as he's playing like this. If we kick it back to last week for the Carolina Panthers, though, DK Metcalf, their #1 wide receiver, their star receiver, he had himself a day. He had 6 receptions for 112 yards. So if the Vikings want to find themselves in that win column this week, don't overthink this. Get Justin Jefferson the ball. I understand you have other weapons like Addison, Hawkinson, but keep it simple. Get the best non-quarterback in the league to football, and I think things will turn out all right. #2 here, no more turnovers. Let's just call a spade here. The Vikings are most likely 3-0 right now if they didn't turn the ball over throughout the first 3 weeks. That's just how it is. They have played sloppy football. That's the biggest reason right now why they're 0-3. But Kevin O'Connell, after the Los Angeles Chargers game, he had a very interesting comment, kind of just talking about overall job security with a lot of these players in the Vikings lineup that maybe haven't really, lived up to their expectations. And he said, I think that's something we're going to fix one way or the other, talking about the turnovers. Either guys are going to fix it, or we're going to have to put other guys in the game that have ball security. Hey, I get it. Ball security is job security, Kevin O'Connell, and I'm totally with you because, listen, I really do believe it. In Philadelphia, you could have won that game if you don't turn the ball over. That was a prime example of shooting yourself in the foot over and over and over again, and that's why you lost this game. I mean, the Vikings offense, they have 9 turnovers in 3 games. Think about that. You have 9 turnovers, 3 per game. You're not going to win many football games in the NFL doing that. If you turn the ball over that much, you are going to lose. And my take going into this game, the Vikings are no doubt the better team than the Carolina Panthers. The only way you lose to the Panthers is if you beat yourself. But the Vikings have been beating themselves this entire season. So that's why this game, I think it's to be a lot tighter than most people think. Vikings are the better team. Clean up the turnovers, and you will win. #3 for me, apply pressure, because the Vikings straight up have the worst pass rush in the entire NFL, and PFF actually agrees with me. Out of all the teams in the league, the Vikings are ranked dead last in pass rush in the league, and a lot of that has to do with their overall pressure rate. I mean, this is embarrassing right here, that the Vikings only have 2 guys that have a higher pressure rate than 10%. And one of them, Andre Carter, a UDFA, the only reason his is at 23.1 right now is because he only played 13 snaps on Sunday for the first time all season, and he got home on 3 of them. But Danielle Hunter's the only one that's up there at 11.5, and that's great. But who else is going to come up with them? Where's Patrick Jones? Where's DJ Wanham? Where the hell is Marcus Davenport? Obviously, he's only played in 1 game so far this year, but his two overall red flags heading into the season was, can Davenport stay healthy, and will he be able to get home to the quarterback? He's done neither so far for the Minnesota Vikings. Somebody else has to come with Mr. 99, Mr. Danielle Hunter. Somebody's got to help him out. And we got to bring pressure to whoever is playing quarterback, whether it's Andy Dalton or Bryce Young, this upcoming Sunday. Number 4 for me, I got 2 names. These guys are both keys to victory for me. Cam Akers and Ty Chandler. And what you might be asking, why'd you choose those 2 names? Because I'm sick of the Alexander Madison experiment. Alexander Madison is just straight up cooked at this point. I was saying Dalvin Cook's cooked on this channel this time last year. Well, now Alexander Madison has taken his spot. And the 2 guys I want to see take his place and get those touches, Ty Chandler and Cam Akers. We just traded for Cam Akers. It was a late-round pick swap. Kevin O'Connell is familiar with him, back to dating with their times with the Los Angeles Rams. And Ty Chandler, in limited reps this past week, he popped off the screen, and we saw that explosiveness that got him drafted out of North Carolina 2 drafts ago. Get Cam Akers, get Ty Chandler the football, stop handing it off to Madison. I think that'll help the Vikings get that win. Number 5, don't let Thielen do it. That's all I'm going to say. Don't let Thielen do it. This is going to be one of the more motivated football players that we have seen in a very long time. Let's kind of go back memory road here. Adam Thielen grew up in Minnesota. Lifelong Vikings fan. He went to a D2 college, had a $500 scholarship at that college. He paid the Minnesota Vikings to work out for that football team. Somehow made it, started off as a special teams player, worked his way up the ranks, and turned himself into one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And then you cut him this past offseason from his hometown team, from his favorite team growing up. Adam Thielen is going to be one of the more motivated football players that we have seen in recent memory. All I'm saying is Byron Murphy, Caleb Evans, whoever's playing corner for the Minnesota Vikings this weekend, you better watch out because you're going to be getting a motivated Adam Thielen playing against this football team. And I'll tell you what, I am scared. I am scared of Adam Thielen pretty much ruining my Sunday and ruining the rest of this season. But those are my keys to victory for the game against the Carolina Panthers. But I want you guys to predict the score down below. Vikings Panthers NFL Week 4. Let me know what the score is going to be. So I do have the Vikings winning this one. I got the Vikings winning 23-20. I think it's going to be a way closer game than people think. I don't think the Vikings offense, yes, they put up a ton of yards this year. They've looked explosive in spots, but they haven't really been able to finish drives, and I think a lot of that is going to happen again. I think they're going to stall out in the red zone, and it's going to be a very frustrating game, but I got it coming down to it. I actually got Greg Joseph kicking a game-winning field goal in Carolina to give the Vikings the win, 23-20. But let me know your score predictions down below. Make sure you guys subscribe, stay in the loop. See y'all next time. Skol Vikes.